Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
And we are back. It is the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, episode 137. I am Charlie Carden, your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, joined as always by my stalwart companion, my number one, Mr. Peter Stein. Peter, good afternoon.
Hello.
And we are privileged to be joined by returning guest, Tom Salinsky from across the pond, our British Trekker. Tom, good to see you.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. Absolutely. Well, we've got a great show for you, as always. We'll be talking about the two latest episodes of Lower Decks. We'll be continuing to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 6. But a couple of things before we get to that, naturally, we always like to talk about our fantastic Patreons, the folks over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where you can try out all of our wares for our regular shows. It includes ad-free shows, early shows, including the one that you're listening to drops at least one day early if you're a Patreon. Great bonus content. Peter and I do a great show called The Facts Geek Life, where we're talking about Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica over several segments. And you can try all that out for free by visiting that website. And then it's as little as $2 a month to keep going. We would absolutely love to have you on board. On our besties level, we have my friend Derek Trevelyan, the figure dude, my wife's wonderful hairdresser, Francie, Mr. Xbox Expansion Pass, Luke Lohr, and my Uncle Tim. Very grateful for all of them. The Friends with Benefits level is John Sedorf. The awesome Phoenix Sisters cosplay, Kelly and Crayley. Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, Matthew Keel, and at the top of the pyramid, for whom with there would be not, I screwed that up, the awesome Nias family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We are very grateful for each and every one of you. Again, patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Free trial for 7 days. And as I said, as little as $2 a month to keep that rolling. We would love to see you there. So, all right, let's pass into talking about the news. And unfortunately, we have a passing to talk about. Actor Tony Todd, very famous for being Kurn, son of Moog, brother to our beloved Worf. And then later, I'm forgetting the name of the character that he passed into. Anybody remember that off the top of that? Top said we needed to change his identity in DS9. Anybody remembering? Gold coin.
Name off the top of my head, no.
Okay, good. What about you, Tom? You wrote a book. Over that.
I know. I remember him best as grown-up Jake Sisko.
Yes,
Visitor, which is absolutely amazing.
One of Star Trek's finest episodes. Yeah,
such a stunning episode. And I think was he also a Hirogen?
Yes.
Yep.
My goodness.
Hard to spot underneath all that
and
Michael Westmore latex. But yes. But when I think of Tony Todd and Star Trek, I don't think of him as Kurn. I do think of him as grown-up Jake Sisko, I'm afraid.
Right. You know what? I can't disagree with you, but I was lodged in thinking about him as Kurn because I'm such a big fan of Ron Moore and all of his, that was a character he created because, that Matter of Honor was it Matter? No, Sins of the Father was, one of his episodes.
Rodek, by the way.
Rodek, thank you. But I remember he was like son of Nagra because I thought Nagra was a really weird name for someone. So that part stuck in my head, or I thought it was. That was a Klingon name somewhere. If you go to Memory Alpha, Nagra is totally a Klingon that's out there in one of those episodes. Just, weird bits of whatever that floats around in your head. But according to this article, Tony Todd, who was 69, passed and no cause, passed just over the weekend. We're recording this on a Sunday, passed with no cause of death reported at this time. So roles and goodness gracious. Roles in shows like Night Court, which is my personal favorite sitcom back from the 1980s. Regular role on The Young and the Restless. I had no idea. A show called Black Fox with Christopher Reeve. Homicide, Life on the Street, recurring role. And the spy show Chuck, which was very enjoyable. I've not watched it in a number of years. But he was the king of the guest role over on CW. The Flash, Stargate, Xena, Smallville. etc. And also was in as recently as 2023 the Spider-Man 2 video game. He was Venom, which touches me because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. So huge loss.
He's in
huge
Final
loss.
Destination as well.
He was
Sort of,
it's the
Basil
corner
exposition role. Yeah. And you've got to have somebody with that level of movie star charisma to just come in and go, okay, guys, let me just lay out how this movie's going to work, and not have that make the movie grind to a halt. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Was brilliant.
Absolutely correct. Peter, do you have a particular role or Tony Todd moment that comes to mind for you?
I mean, I just really liked him as Kurn. I enjoy the bit where he's Jake Sisko too, but I really like the interaction with Worf and everybody with Kurn.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
there was I will not mention it by name, but there was a fan production that he was in. He did a really, really good job with.
Comes to mind, yeah.
So, like, that was one of the ones that I noticed him outside of Kurn or Deep Space Nine. I was like, hey, I know who that is, and he really, really laid it all out there, and it was a fan production. Like, dude's intense, great actor.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff. Awesome. Before we wrap it up, Tom, any other great Kurn roles? Remember, it's maybe outside of Star Trek, maybe within Star Trek. We know you love the Jake Sisko.
Tony Todd roles.
Yes. What did I say?
Kurn roles.
He's so much that character for me. I can't let it go.
Kurn roll sounds a bit like a delicacy you'd get from a New York street vendor.
Kurn rolls, please.
Yes. I mean, the other one is Candyman, obviously, where he's just, again, it's this titanic, towering performance. That's such a scary film.
Oh my goodness! By the way, Kurn Rolls is now the name of this episode, so thank you for that. Kurn Rolls, please, because I had a working title, but I prefer that. Kurn Rolls, please. Very good, awesome. Well, yes, rest in power, Tony Todd. You will absolutely be missed. So, all right. Well, let's move on and let's talk about some Lower Decks. We are plugging on. This is, obviously the show started. We talked about the first two episodes in our last segment, and now we're moving on to episodes 3 and 4. I jumped into a little bit of a different format. I have more of a summary here. I won't read the whole thing because I think that might stymie things. But I wanted to provide some context, and then I've been better at trying to take my own notes so that I don't get lost. So, all right. Well, let's kick it off. Peter, would you like to talk to us? Give us a summary of episode 3.
All right. Episode 3, also known as The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel.
I love it.
Which is a wonderful title.
Yeah.
The Cerritos crew are basic summary. The Cerritos crew is brought to a very fancy hotel that has a purported nanite infestation. And so Mariner, Tendi, Rutherford, and Jennifer, who we haven't seen for quite a while.
So yes, that was one of my notes, that I feel like the last real interaction with her was season 3, because I've been rewatching the episodes by having them on in the background as I'm working during the day to get ready for our series wrap up, which will be the first of the year. I unless I'm missing it, I don't think we've seen her.
Yeah, we haven't seen
for a really long time.
Yeah, so they all are tasked with taking care of this nanite issue, and shenanigans ensue. But Boimler is intercepted by Ransom, and they're going to go look for a AWOL Starfleet admiral. Right. Shenanigans also
can you imagine a Starfleet admiral who goes AWOL and doesn't do what he's supposed to do? I mean,
never.
Has a thing ever happened on Star Trek before?
No, all the admirals are super great guys. Like any high-ranking anything. Just a super good dude. Absolutely.
Yep. So, yeah, we get some good character development out of Boimler. We get some really hilarious relationship stuff with Mariner.
Yeah.
And then,
Good deal.
I'm not giving all the details because I'm sure we'll want to talk about that shortly.
That's okay.
That's basically the whole premise.
No problem. Well, I'll tell you what, just because obviously the show is so short and there's not a lot of really heavy gray matter to get into, I say we just kind of go around the horn and talk about your favorite moments, maybe talk about some things that, you didn't like if that comes up. Tom, you are the guest of honor. How are you feeling about this episode?
I mean, my thing with Lower Decks, it's probably my favorite Star Trek series are the ones that are currently in production.
Right.
But I don't have the same relationship to it that I have with some of the 90s shows, particularly because having written these books, I've kind of pored over them and my approach has been to analyze them from every angle. Whereas I find with Lower Decks, it's so winning. it's so charming that it just sort of sneaks past all of my critical faculties. And whenever I try and find fault with it, I just sit there with a big, stupid smile on my face.
Yes.
So, yes, I can pick out lines and moments that I really loved, but if you're looking for a detailed analysis, you might have to look elsewhere, because I couldn't even give these star ratings because I'd probably just be giving everything 5s.
That's more or less what we've been doing too.
Yeah, I've been, because you're right. Even, and it was the same with Prodigy. Tom, I don't know if you've dug into Prodigy, which is purely the kids show just they dumped all of the episodes back in July. Peter and I, even though all 20 episodes were there, we just did them, I think, 3 at a time, so that we didn't, so that we could have content and talk about it a little bit more. But there weren't but a handful of episodes that weren't 8 or 9s out of 10 for both of us, because they were just delightful. So it's like, you can't dig too deep. So any favorite moments, any favorite lines? Because I started, it's funny, in our Patreon with a couple of different people, we've been going through seasons of The Simpsons, and it's mostly just written down great quotes because we grew up with The Simpsons. So any great quotes that jump out at you for this one?
Little things, but it's always fun spotting references. So I loved the reference to Dixon Hill slot machines.
Right.
I love that Boimler is trying so hard to grow the beard.
Oh, and it's worse because in the next episode he at least has like that pencil thin like Prince mustache,
yes, sort of
but still like it's almost, his face is like the top of Homer Simpson's head. There's like a hair here and a hair here.
Yeah. All the stuff with Tillin fangirling over Krog I thought was fantastic.
Right.
The names of the 2 different ski slopes were Coward's Gulch and Expert's Demise.
I didn't catch the second one, but I caught the first one. Oh my god, yeah, Coward's Gulch.
Yeah,
and Boimler's scream as he drops.
Mariner just trying to do a really quick count up before saying icosahedron.
That was also very, very fun.
That was pretty. I made a note of that too.
So lovely stuff. And I think if I had to pick one, I think maybe I slightly preferred this one to A Farewell to Arms. You get to see more of the lower deckers as a gang. It's just because at least they're all in the same place, whereas in A Farewell to Arms they're completely separated.
Right.
Though I'm still kind of waiting of both of them. Actually, if I was going to take a half straw for anything in both of them, I was sort of waiting for the 2 plot strands to coalesce, which they never did. So it was really kind of 2 half episodes that were being intercut, and you can more or less just as easily imagine them happening in a different combination. They would have worked just as well. But these are tiny, tiny little criticisms, really. Yeah.
No, I totally hear you. Peter, favorite moments, favorite quotes, analysis, though we're not doing a great job with analysis.
I mean, one of my favorite moments was all the way at the end where Ransom is like, where's Jet? He really likes all this really dangerous stuff. No, I just got these hats. It's so ridiculous.
Right, because he starts out the episode, because like you said,
he's missing he's got nubs because something burned his hands off.
Yeah, being conscripted for what he feels is he's just being used as cannon fodder. So he's getting on a shuttle with Ransom and Billups. And I did love Billups going back and forth, because they're trying to pick out fake names for themselves. And he wants to be Zandy Billups.
And he also comes up with like this, he's like, I am dead set on this particular backstory.
Yeah.
Yes. Dude, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Gilbert Manhandle.
Exactly. Rod Codpiece, exactly. So
it was so ridiculous. I really liked Tillin's fangirling. That was just really fun. One of the shots that just made me just giggle because it was so played deadpan was when the icosahedron finally explodes and everyone just kind of like flies all over the place. You have like, and then you just have Tillin. I'm just like, that is fantastic.
It's like Ralph Wiggum being thrown through the window of The Simpsons as a rock. Clunk, his face doesn't move.
It was just so funny.
I need to figure this out, but did you guys ever watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
If I have, it's been a while. So what's the reference?
That's Gabrielle Ruiz as the
voice of Lynn. And I've met her. She's wonderful.
I'm so good at yoga. She's the perfect girlfriend that the Rebecca Bunch character is initially trying to undermine.
Yeah. I met her. My wife and I did the Star Trek cruise both last year and this year, so in February, and she was running the Vulcan trivia, which we lost that one. There were 4 trivias, we won 2 of them, and I have a great picture on the wall in my den of April and myself and Eugene Cordero and Dr. Aaron McDonald. So that was one of the subsequent trivias. But Gabrielle sat down and chatted with me. We talked for about 5 or 10 minutes while she was waiting to have people come in. So she's a super nice lady.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, speaking of Talent, I love the whole thing. I feel like I wrote down the musician guy's name as I kept saying Grog, but then April corrected me. No, it's Krog.
Yeah.
It's Krog. But it was pointed out in something in social media on Threads or whatever that his vibe tubes, that was a legit reference to Picard's Café des Artistes holodeck program in season 1's We'll Always Have Paris. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Because there's a dude loves this random deep dig.
There's a dude as Picard is talking to the maitre d' who's standing there holding that thing. Wow. So random. Oh my God. So that was pretty great. And yeah, Krog, I thought was kind of like he was kind of like Star Trek's Jimmy Buffett, because he was like, he had this weird he obviously had this weird following of people. But yeah, vibe tubes, because vibe, you think about parrot heads or whatever. So I grew up on Jimmy Buffett, which if you're not at all familiar, Tom, was a feel good country rock kind of musician guy that, like the Grateful Dead, had this huge following. People would follow him all over the country. He passed away last year. So it's very sad for people in my family. I was never much of a fan. But regardless, I was looking at my notes. I did like, there was they were talking about because they're on a space station that's a big hotel, and they're rambling through all the different like amenities, and one that Mariner mentions is the underwater dry park because it was the overwater wet park or something. It was just like, what does that even mean?
There's a water park and an underwater dry park. I don't know what that means, but we're going to find out.
Exactly. We get a reference to when Ransom points up, and when they track down the Admiral, like he's up there, and it's the Paramountain. They played the swelling theme. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh God! It's just Boimler going down the ski hill, and he comes up on an alien. Was that a Kazinti, like from TAS?
I don't think that one was. No.
Yeah. But whatever it was, Boimler grabs him, and he's like, "Stop! You're grabbing my genitals," because he's got the 2 humps on his back.
Oh yeah, that's not a Kazinti, but it was, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. And the Admiral was funny. That establishing shot, he just looked like Brando in Apocalypse Now, Colonel Kurtz. And his lamenting over milking space whales is just so ridiculous. I can't even picture how somebody could be responsible for that. Oh,
even better. It's like we will die over this. That's not what I'm here. I'm not doing that. Bye.
Yeah, no kidding. What was the last one I had? My one little nitpick is that when they find the little Intrepid class ship that's at the center of the nanites, they zoom in on the captain. She's wearing one of those TOS like female uniforms. It's a one piecer with the collar, with the kind of the TNG TV show badge, which wouldn't have necessarily kind of coalesced with the Intrepid class, which launched right when TNG ended, and they changed the badge. But who cares? Yeah. I mean, because they do so much with uniforms in this, because if you remember in the last episode, or maybe the one before that, when Boimler was all excited about Fleet magazine, he's flipping through, and people still
wearing
the Voyager uniform. So yeah. So I don't know. I'm a uniform guy. What can I say? So, all right.
The other thing is that Intrepid was from a parallel dimension. So
that's you can use, just like with Marvel, you can use that to justify many crimes. It's the multiverse. It's always the multiverse.
Well, in this case it was. So
exactly correct. So
which was also funny, because it's like, where'd the nanas come from? They came from this little ship trying to figure its way out. And now the Admiral, who has never had any other thing to do other than milking space whales, is now going to be in charge of trans-dimensional travel.
Gotcha.
Cool.
He finds his purpose. All right, Tom, I know you said that you didn't necessarily feel like you could rate this one, but if you were to give it 1 out of 10, just a stab in the dark.
9.5.
9.5 is good. I like it. Peter?
That's probably about where I would put it. Maybe a 9, just because some of the Jennifer and Mariner stuff was a little bit kind of like, cringe for me.
Little draggy. Yeah, I
well, it wasn't draggy. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's a little cringy. It's like, I knew that we broke up. I was just trying to get you to admit it. It's like, oh yeah, gosh, character drama. It's funny. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, just right. No.
I probably deducted, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I probably deducted a little bit more for exactly what you were talking about, because for me, it was a loose end that wasn't a loose end. Because again, you got the final season of a show. You're trying to make sure things are as clean as possible. But again, bringing back the nanites, and oh God, that was another one of my favorite lines. Let me scroll back up to my notes. Just nanites in general, they had been seen or heard from since Shelby's derisive snort, nanites, in the Best of Both Worlds Part 1. So I'm like, that was 1990. You know what I mean? So that was that in essence to me was very pleasingly inside baseball, and of course the vibe tubes, because I mean, I'm pretty well steeped in everything, but I was like, oh, that's a random thing they put together, and it was a reference. Oh my gosh, no, it was so crazy. So well, cool. Okay, I'll tackle episode 4. And I was talking to both you guys in my notes. Usually Memory Alpha's right on the button with the little summary and everything, but they didn't have one until I was messaging both you guys this morning. And then I turned back and somebody had started a page. So I wrote up a summary myself, not that it really matters, but my summary was, and it's very short, so that helps too. Mariner and Boimler are on the Klingon homeworld to help a disgraced captain regain his command back on the Cerritos, and the B story was better than the A story for me by far. Dr. Miglimo faces down a pair of fellow, I want to say Kolakans? What is it?
So this is a gag about bird and other animal orifices.
The Kolaka.
I know exactly what it
Kolaka.
is.
Yeah.
Well, I gather from a little bit of Googling that it's spelt something like KLOWAHKAN, something like that.
Exactly. I looked it up too, and that's what's in my notes. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, a fellow pair of the Kowakans whose snobbery throws him into this emotional crisis. Guest star is Discovery's Mary Chieffo is Kalara. Again, somebody I met on the cruise. Lovely lady. So let's get started. Tom, tell me how you're feeling.
Did we already know this about the Cloacans and their desire to explore the universe and seek out strange new meals?
I don't think so.
First time we heard this particularly laid out. We knew that Miglimo made food puns all the time. But we didn't know why.
And now we know why. Exactly correct.
I just thought this game was absolutely delightful, and the way that's threaded through all of the details of their society, even to the point of the amuse-bouche you get on entering prison is the last tasty morsel you'll ever have. It's just completely delightful. I just absolutely loved it, and the way that they molt and kind of fluff up when they're experiencing stress. I just thought it was terrific. As far as the other strand is concerned, I mean, one of my complaints when I rewatched TNG is I felt I wasn't quite as invested in all the intricate and arcane Klingon rituals as, say, Ron Moore. But then is anyone as invested in Klingon rituals as Ron Moore? So I actually had a very good time seeing that satirized here. Even the Klingons not sure if this is a real ritual or a made-up one. And I laughed out loud for about a minute when Mariner said, "Who crawled up her boob window and died?"
Yes. Oh, because that's a famous, and it was right around the time that was on. I'm a big Marvel Comics guy. In the Fantastic Four, the Invisible Woman got a very similar skimpy outfit with the boob window, and it was just like, what are you doing? Just knock it off. Oh, gotcha. Peter.
I thought this episode was hysterical. I liked the food stuff. It was really, really obnoxiously funny, especially all the drama. Guard, catch me while I performatively faint.
That was one of my I wrote down as well.
It was just like, oh my goodness, that's
it was
so
akin to Mr. Burns saying, "Smithers, throw this at him."
It was so funny. All the ridiculousness. I enjoyed the Klingon stuff too with Ma and his brother.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Swine.
Yeah.
And they're Targ farmers. Yeah.
It's just so funny how they're Targ and Gach farmers, and like you see like, oh, this is how we make blood wine. We squash Gach. Oh, okay. That's new.
That's basically like squishing an earthworm and getting wine out of it. That's
it was
doesn't
just
work.
so ridiculous. And like they cut all of the opening credits to just be this like melancholic Klingon thing of Moss suffering on his farm.
Oh my
It's
God.
just so obnoxious. And we do get a Klingon return from episode like 2 of season 1.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mariner, it was
Ford.
the ambassador that she was shuffling around, and Boimler was so nervous. And they just got into crazy shenanigans. Yeah.
And it was also really great with Boimler getting super obsessed with the Klingon rituals and everything. It's like, oh, I'm so excited I get to do pain sticks. And like, why would you be excited to do pain sticks or get punched in the face in a Klingon pub?
It's not quite the same Boimler that we saw in the last episode, is it?
No, it's not.
His enthusiasm has triumphed over his cowardice rather magnificently. Yeah.
He's going I do love that she pointed out that he was going through a phase, and I'm reminded of like how you would talk about like a teenager going through a goth phase or something, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it'll pass. He's just, dressing all in black and painting his fingernails and stuff, and it was the kind of thing.
Which kind of felt like them making fun of the fandom to a certain point where we were like, in the 90s, it was like, all Klingon culture, everything. And so I get it. It's pretty funny.
Well, one of the best parts where that was illustrated is when they were there. Obviously, they're in that first scene in an early act, probably act 2, where he's being thrown around the Klingon bar, and he's just like, hee. It reminds me of, Peter, I've told the story before, when I was on I keep going back to talk about the cruise, but when I was in when Bill Shatner was on stage, I think it was the first year we went, and I stood up and asked a question, and I mentioned something in my question about the Next Generation, and he just blew up at me. Why would you mention the Next Generation? That's why they stopped making our movies. And I was just like, I was so excited. I was like, please scream at me. This is a highlight of my trip. Oh my goodness. So it was great to hear Mary Chieffo, because again, she's a great lady. But yeah, those I kept screwing up the name of the Kalakachans, Miglimo's people. I keep screwing them up. I do love when they show the outside shot of the oversight committee, and I was like, is that a floor of the building, or is the whole building about oversight where they just have people doing paperwork? But the two motorcyclists who almost run into each other, and he goes, experience beige. No, you experience beige, is the Klingon version of, when you get road rage.
That was pretty funny.
It's something I love the expansion of the Age of Ascension ritual with the pain sticks. They turned it into like 4 layers of it, and Boimler's like, this is just as Klingon as hell. Super fired up, for his phase. And
if we're all piled on together, we can all take the higher charge because it'll be distributed.
Right.
All right.
I still don't know, 4 people, you could splice 30,000 volts, or was it 80,000 volts down the middle, and everybody would still be fine. You have to science that, but I'm not gonna. Guards, storm me out of here. That was the backup to the Catch Me As I Perform.
Yeah, that was the very next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Miglimo, because they're shaking him down the whole time, and he says he's a psychologist, that he's a chef of the mind. I thought that was great. He had another line of that ilk later on. I guess I didn't write it down. Oh God, just the end of that whole sequence where, they try his food and they hate it. And so they're going to put him in prison, which again, for me, this kind of split the difference, trying to figure out, is he Starfleet or is he not Starfleet? Because there's no way he would go to prison. He would be imprisoned by his own people if he was Starfleet, but he just wears an outfit, but he has a comm badge, but like, Counselor Troy was Starfleet, but she still didn't always wear a regular uniform. So I'm sure I'm digging too deep. So I'll probably just, because the end of this was absolutely great. Because they're exposed. They lost their sense of taste. And it's funny when they get stressed out, how they puff up, Tom, like you were saying, with the plumage. It was fantastic. And I do like the captain's line at the end, because it's Tendi and Captain Freeman off to the side. And Tendi goes, is that ethical, them being in prison? And she says, the captain goes, those two are punks. Let him have his win. That was awesome. Awesome. We do get what I feel like is going to be, because Lower Decks kind of low balls, or they kind of really, like last season it was holding Nick Locarno and his rogue fleet, but they really built it up and delivered it in the last couple episodes, where they're doing that now with these what's now determined to be a man-made space anomaly, which is why Mariner and Boimler were on Kronos to begin with. So she goes and figured this out. So obviously that's building, but they don't let it overtake the episode, and they don't make it be too heavy because it keeps things light and fun. So, yeah, that's me. Any other thoughts, guys?
The only thing I wrote down, which we haven't talked about, is that the Cloacans can taste sweet, salty, or gizzulate.
Gizzulate, oh
whatever that may be.
Exactly. Gotcha. Awesome, Peter.
Not much, other than ultimately Ma gets his command back in a hilarious use of Klingon rituals in the most ridiculous way possible.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Use the rite of conscription to bring you into my crew, and now I'm going to sacrifice you. That was
ouch.
Pretty funny.
You know, I'd be on the wrong side of that one.
And then he decides that he doesn't want to go back to a fleet. He's going to fly his farm ship with his brother, and they're going to reattach those goofy giant targ bones to the front.
Right. Which doesn't work because his brother's kind of
and then his brother falls and gets stuck again.
His brother reminds me of Otis from the first Superman movie in 1978, who was Ned Beatty. He just always, Mr. Luther. All right. How do we rate this one, Tom? Where do you land?
Again, I just 9.5. I mean, is it perfect? I mean, I probably could find enough flaws to knock it down half a point. So yeah, 9.5.
Yeah, fair enough. Peter,
I'm gonna probably put this one at a 10. I just found this one hysterical.
Yeah,
for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I'm in the same place just because it was great to learn about Miglimo. And again, my last cruise reference for now, last year, the first time I met Tawny Newsome, she did something on stage. Paul F. Tompkins joined the cruise like midway at one of the stops. And I stopped to chat with him as whatever it was they were doing was wrapping up. He was very nice, but I think it was the first Star Trek thing he had ever done. So he seemed super nervous, which is funny for a guy who's been a stand-up comedian for decades and he's been on TV. But I had the same experience with meeting Anson Mount at Mission Chicago in 2022, which was between Discovery and the beginning of Strange New Worlds. I was the first person in his line to get an autograph, but he looked, even through his COVID mask, he looked super nervous. Because I'm sure it's very intimidating to go to one of those shows first time out and just be exposed to this world. So, but he kept his cool, which I thought was great. And, Boimler's Klingon fangirl thing, much like with T'Lyn in the last episode, enjoying, Space Jimmy Buffett, I thought that was fantastic. It was good fun all around.
See, even fictional Star Trek people are fans.
Exactly. There's some things that connect us all. All right. Well, let's get to, we'll wrap that up. Obviously, in the next episode, we'll be back with more Lower Decks, but we will move into to the second portion of our show where we're talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is why it's great to have a published author and a real authority who has probably broken these episodes down even more than I have. To talk about these 6 episodes. So, all right, I'll get the ball rolling. I'll read the first summary. And this actually has a tie to an upcoming interview that we're going to be doing here on the show. Episode 7 of the season is Rascals, directed by Adam Nimoy, who will be gracing our Secret Friends Unite spotlight interview program in the next couple of weeks. I'm actually speaking to him next week, so I'm kind of excited about that. Story by Ward Botsford and Diana Drew Botsford and Michael Piller. So that definitely sounds like slush script plus one of the main writers of the show. And now we have an episode. And teleplay by Allison Hawk. Again, a name I've never heard of before or since. This is from November of 1992. A transporter malfunction turns Picard, Keiko, Ro, and Guinan into children who become the ship's only hope when they are left aboard while the adult crew are forced to perform dangerous labor by Ferengi pirates. Tom, let's start with you. I just don't even know what to say.
Slightly to my surprise, when I had finished the book and I did the averaging of all the star ratings, season 6 turned out to be the one that scored the highest.
Really?
And I think there are just some stuff in here I really, really like, and we're going to talk about some of them. But I also think if you look at some of these episodes with a critical eye, I think it's fair to say that roundabout here is where we start to see the cracks showing, is where we start to see the beginning of the end.
Right,
and
I agree.
Both this and the episode after it feel like there's a slight sense of desperation in the writer's room. Like, I don't know, what if they all became like children? And while this episode is not bad, I think one of the things it suffers from is that you've got, obviously, Patrick Stewart, who is this world-class actor, You've got Michelle Forbes, who's one of the most exciting guest actors we've had on the show in a long time. You've got Whoopi Goldberg, who was such a coup. And then you're going to have those characters played by very inexperienced actors for 3/4 of the episode.
Right, exactly.
And that's a serious problem, because these are terrific characters who've been brought to life by these amazing performers, all of whom get to have the week off.
Right, exactly. You couldn't have summed it up any better. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Peter.
I find this episode tremendously hysterical.
That's all right. Yeah, tell us about it.
It's just dumb, is really what it boils down to. Like,
it was ahead of its time, Lower Deck style, is what you're saying.
Kind of, yeah, in a slightly different way. But like, there's all of these ridiculous things of, Captain Picard not fully comprehending that people having a hard time with a child on the bridge, even though he was the one who had a problem with a child on the bridge.
Shh. That's not important.
So that was fairly amusing. Like some of the stuff with like the crew grappling with the fact that their kids in the early parts of the episode are a little weird. Like I'm not the biggest fan of how they handled the O'Briens particularly.
Right.
That wasn't a great scene.
Yeah.
Like some of it got across and it was fine, but then other parts of it were like, I probably just would have left that alone. Like, but not like it does, not like you can't explore, but it was just odd how it was dealt with. But once you get the Ferengi involved, like the stupid level just rises to astronomical levels, and it just it basically becomes a Lower Decks, which is just hilarious.
Right.
Where you have like the kids now have to, steal things from sickbay, which is conveniently right across from the nursery now.
Why not? It's easy to get to. And then Alexander's toy is a Roomba, and he can use that to get around.
That was pretty funny where they use the Roomba to go bump people with a communicator, play tag, hit communicators on their back, and engineering beam them to the transporter room, steal phasers, and like,
yeah,
it makes absolutely no sense, but it's really funny. Or one of my favorites, my favorite part pretty much of stupid was Picard's whole shtick of Riker is my dad. That was so ridiculous.
Bad. Yeah.
I want to see my father. No. And it just keeps on going. And Frank's like, no, I'm done with this.
Oh my gosh.
And takes him to him. And then there's this whole conversation. He's my number one dad. And then you have Riker trying to bullshit his way to unlocking the computer in this.
That was good. You do know what a kiloquad ramostat is, don't you?
There's these Kelelactrals that do this, that, and it's like, Riker.
I know. I'm not stupid, human.
I'm not stupid, human. But I'm sitting there like, I mean, I love technobabble, and that is some masterful, absolute bullshit that makes no sense. Like that was fantastic.
They're walking on ice here, though, aren't they? Because you've got a scientifically gibberish problem to which the solution is going to be more scientific gibberish, and then it's a plot point that one of the characters is making up scientific sounding gibberish to fool the bad guys.
It's kind of a little like wink and a nudge of like, all of our stuff is fake, but here's even more fake stuff.
Yes. We're taking it down to the sub basement. Absolutely. Yeah. The only thing to me that was like, oh my God, this is so convenient was I felt like it was like B-roll special, like we're trying to, because this was a bottle show for the most part. Mm-hmm. The only sets they had were standing Enterprise sets where if you have the nursery, you just move this desk over here and put this thing over here, move this panel over here, and then the shuttlecraft, and then like the cargo bay, and then all the regular sets we see. But then Ferengi privateers, who they're wearing the regular Ferengi uniforms, on 2 Klingon birds of prey that was all recycled footage, and they take over a Galaxy class ship. It made less sense than the kids being, or our main actors being replaced by kids. It was just like it was a dumb. But what else? They were going to have to do something ridiculous to further this plot at all. And calling them rascals doesn't even, it's just the other, oh, you little rascal, it doesn't really speak to the plot that much. So, I'm kind of with Tom on this one. It was to knock out Patrick Stewart, Michelle Forbes, and Whoopi. It's like, what are you doing? It doesn't necessarily make any sense at all. There are super fun parts, I'll agree with you, but I remember even watching this one, and I was 16 watching this. I was like, oh man, I hope it gets better next week. Yikes. Oh my goodness. In my opinion, it does, because then we lead into talking about episode 8, and Peter, take it away.
Episode 8. A Fistful of Datas, also known as A Return to Wagon Train to the Stars. Directed by Patrick Stewart. Story by Robert Hewitt Wolfe. Teleplay by Robert Hewitt Wolfe and Brandon Braga. Aired November 9th of 92. Data's mind is connected to the ship's computer. Your first mistake. Which creates unforeseen effects on the holodeck, which is currently running a Western program.
Why would anyone ever use... Two things. Why would anyone ever use a holodeck ever? Because it's always lethal. And why do they always do top secret super experiments? And this is not one of the worst, because the worst is in that episode where they're testing a phaser out.
And
then
right at the dilithium chamber.
Pointing right at the warp core. So it's like they just, it's a big ship. Find a different room. But anyway, all right, Tom, the Authority. What do you think?
I think I might be a bit more where Peter was on Rascals with this one, because as far as I can tell, this is equally stupid, if not more stupid, but I have a better time with this one. And I think it comes down to the casting, because I'd much rather watch Brent Spiner doing silly voices for 45 minutes than I would watching inexperienced child actors pretend to be some of the best television actors of the era.
Right.
So yeah, this again is completely ridiculous. It does feel a bit lower decks now you come to mention it, but it's just a ton more fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Counselor Durango and Sheriff Worf, and
even let Troy have some fun. I mean, come on,
Durango. I'm called Durango.
That was great, because sometimes it was one of the biggest complaints at the time. I'm sure this has come to you, or maybe perhaps it's also discussed more than once in your book, is that it was tough to find your two main female characters with nice, juicy plot points and great things to do. I've listened to podcasts and read things about people who just absolutely dragged the TNG writers for not giving any decent material to either Marina or to Gates, and this was a rare exception. I thought that they did wonderfully with this as well. So, Peter,
this one is another of those episodes that I find delightfully stupid. Like, the plot is very dumb, but there's some good character interactions. Like some really good character interactions, and it's just hysterical to see Brent Spiner as Data doing all of the dumb things.
Right. Especially when he's the madam at the end.
Oh, that made me cringe so hard. But
that's not my favorite bit of the episode.
No, that is my least favorite part of the episode, to be perfectly frank. But like him spinning the tricorder at like a gun in a holster, or spitooning the potted plant in the conference room, or even when they first meet him, it's like, Data, you're not supposed to be here. What do you think I am, boy? And like all this just ridiculous stuff. Or
oh my gosh.
even towards the end, where all of a sudden everyone's Data, so now Data has the huge bush mustache on his face.
Senor Frank throws the gun in the air. There was also early terrible CGI watching that pistol fly through the air. I mean, even in 1992, I'm like, that looks pretty fake, even though we didn't know anything about CGI back then. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I watched this when it was new, and you're right, this was where I felt TNG was taking, with particularly 2 episodes in a row, they were really going with the silly, and we weren't really used to the silly. It didn't happen that often in Star Trek to date, because this was even before the first season of DS9, where they tried silly here and there before that show, kind of really came into its own. So yeah, I guess I liked it enough because it was different and dumb, but I had a good time as well. So I think we all kind of come into alignment, kind of thinking of that. So,
and I think one of the reasons why I liked season 6 so much is because that's when the supporting cast started to become broadened out. So in both these episodes, you've got someone who doesn't get their name in the main titles. In fact, 2 someones in the previous one. You've got both Rosalind Chow and Michelle Forbes essentially playing the role of leading characters. And here it's Brian Bonsall. So the whole kind of, it's beginning to get that Deep Space Nine feel where, it's not just about these 7 guys.
Right.
There are people all over the ship that we know and that we have relationships with and that we care about. And I think that really helps. It's something that they completely forget to do on Enterprise, where it's all about these 7 guys, and it's like no one else even exists. Watch how many times Archer even seems to know somebody else's name on that show. It's kind of ridiculous.
You never meet Chef, do you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Tom, would you like to do the honors on number 9?
I should say I'm basing this just on the notes from my book. I didn't have a chance to rewatch it. Sorry about that, but
that's okay.
This is kind of a rehash of The Measure of a Man. We are returning to the idea that artificial intelligences are as valuable as human ones. So there are these things called the exocomps, which are these little tiny robot guys. And Data is the one who kind of throws himself on the grenade and says, no, these have to be protected. I won't allow them to be sacrificed in order to save even our lives. Mm-hmm. And this one for me is like a near miss, because there's good stuff going on here, and it is again and again and again undermined by the production design, because I just can't get past how silly looking the exocomps themselves are.
They're a little
real problem.
It's like a football with like feet you would see on the like casters on a piece of food equipment. You know what I mean? And they have little dials that flip. It's
Furby
like
without fur.
It's a fur. Thank you. There you go. That would be a great second chance name of the episode. So we might have to put it to a vote by the time we get there. Furby.
It's really difficult to square the high-minded philosophizing that the script is going for with the cute robots with big feet and little sticky up arms. It's just like no one's on the same page here.
Right. And just to summarize, this was the name of the episode is Quality of Life, directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Yep. Yes, we've got quite a few star directors here. So we have Adam Nimoy directing Rascals, which I can only assume is a bit of stunt casting. Then Patrick Stewart directing A Fistful of Datas, and now Frakes directing Quality of Life.
Right. 1, 2, with 2 out of 3 were very silly episodes, so that's kind of weird. But I mean, Frakes is the one of those 3 that is still directing Star Trek to this day. He is a legend in the Star Trek community for that in some ways, as much as he is for being Riker. So this episode spawned in my family, and particularly at the time. I think this came up because 92. My brother had graduated from high school. He went away to basic training. He was in the Air Force. And when he came back for Thanksgiving dinner, at some point when Data says, I believe the exocomps are a life form, we were talking about pudding or something, and it became the pudding. I believe the pudding is a life form. I'll never forget. It's been 32 years, and I'll never forget it. So that will always immortalize this episode for me. And of course, the exocomps themselves come back in Lower Decks with Peanut Hamper, who is a really shitty exocomp. Who can speak. Who can, through the benefit, obviously, of the Universal Translator. And this is about Lower Decks is about 15 years after this episode took place. The UT has locked on, and now you can tell what the exocomps are saying. Peanut Hamper, who says, "Well, I only joined Starfleet to piss off my dad." I saw that episode recently. So yeah, Peter, your thoughts?
I'm kind of with Tom on this one of like it's trying to be Measure of a Man, but just can't. Because. In part because it's very, very difficult to humanize a robot that, one, doesn't have recognizable features in any anthropomorphic sense.
And doesn't speak.
And doesn't communicate at all, aside from like someone going, they have agreed. Okay, then.
Right. What else did they say? Yeah, exactly.
So it tries, and I appreciate what it is trying to do, because the idea that there is some life that can't communicate with you, that might be something that we don't recognize, like that's a cool idea, but they just don't. It doesn't work very well with how they do it,
right?
So, yeah. And especially since it's like, and the weird thing is like nobody else is on board with this except for Data. And it's like,
yeah, exactly.
And there should be at least a couple people who are a little bit more on board.
Riker gets all up in his business, and he's like, "I'm going to have to relieve you of duty," and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, "Well, I still can't do it." And at the end, Picard's like, "Dude, you know what? You're good. I like what you do. It's cool, super cool. No big deal. I like it."
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It's not one of my favorites. It's. Like, I like what it tried to do, but it just didn't handle it particularly well, I don't think.
Right.
So.
Agreed. All right. Well, we launch into this next two-parter, and I'll just roll right through it. We did in the prehistory of our show, and Peter, was before you came along, we did a very in-depth analysis of this based on some of the bigger themes. But we are starting anew, and we got two of three different people. We'll talk about it as fresh. Episodes 10 and 11 are the very famous two-part of the Chain of Command. Part 1, Robert Scheer doing the directing with a story by Frank Abate Marco, teleplayed by Ron Moore. And Part 2, directed by Les Landau and Frank Abate Marco returning. And these are both from December of 1992. Captain Jellicoe is assigned to the command of the Enterprise while Picard is sent on a covert mission along with Beverly and Worf. Guest star the famous Ronnie Cox as Edward Jellicoe, a character that we had returned in Prodigy. In Part 2, Picard, having been captured, is tortured by a sadistic Cardassian interrogator, the supremely fantastic David Warner. Tom, where do we even begin?
I mean, this proves that the series has got not just a bit of gas left in the tank, but it's capable of doing something which is pretty much like nothing earlier in Next Generation could, I think, have prepared us for this. It feels like the whole chessboard is flung up in the air, and we've no idea where the pieces are going to land, especially as the show went off the air for a few weeks after this and ceded the airwaves to Deep Space Nine. But what a mic drop! What a way to go out before you let the upstart show have its chance. Right from the very beginning, that initial teaser, one of the shortest, sharpest, punchiest teasers we've had. Just, I'm here to relieve you of command. Titles. Right. Bang! It's just so extraordinary, and I love the precisely judged ambiguity about Jellicoe. That fans are still arguing: is he this unempathetic hard ass who has no business running a starship, or was he exactly what this crew needed at this moment in time? And the answer is, I don't know, because you can watch the episode 5 times and come up with 5 different answers.
Right, absolutely. My dad, who is a military man, he was in the Navy. My brother, who was in the Air Force, all look at Jellicoe and say, "I don't know what the problem is. He is a military. He is a military man.
But this is not a military ship."
Yeah, but he rolls in, and it's a military ship. It's a military ship to him, and they're going into a combat situation. So it is not, well, we're the Enterprise going around and exploring things, and blah. It's problem of the week, and we're gonna help this person do that thing. But with Jellicoe, who is a deep-seated veteran of the Cardassian Wars, every moment is a chance. He's like Captain America, the man who couldn't live without a war. You know what I mean? He is a warrior, and he's got to be ready to kick some ass. And the Enterprise people are like, dee, we've got a ship with an arboretum and a swimming pool, and we have whales. We have the dolphins who do our navigation. Like, everything is fun and beautiful here. So yeah, this is just to interject. You're absolutely right. All of us who watch and love our characters that were like, he's being mean to Geordi and Riker, and he made Troy get out of her cosmic cheerleader outfit and wear a real uniform. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like playtime is over. Jellicoe's in the house. That was basically the vibe of episode 1, without a doubt.
It is amazing, though, going back to our earlier conversation about the underwritten female characters, it's startling how much better Troy's material is for the next year and a half once she gets out of that, as you say, cosmic cheerleader.
To get into that uniform. Yeah. This was finally when they let it happen.
Yeah, you're right. I infinitely have more respect for the character. I totally agree with you.
I believe, as a nod to Patrick Stewart, getting rid of the fish in the ready room.
Does it end up coming back, or was it gone for good?
I think it's gone for good.
Oh my gosh! So they just open up an airlock. Bye. put it back into the replicator.
Maybe they gave it to Alexander. Who knows?
Yeah. So they say, "Oh, the fish tastes really fresh tonight."
Put him with cetacean ops.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. That would be the most humane thing to do, without a doubt. But yeah. So anyway, Tom, please continue.
That sort of got to the end. But I mean, yeah. Part 2. It's a very different episode. Part 1, I think, is a little bit all set up and no payoff, and there's a bit of me that would like to knock some points off, because Part 2 basically says, yeah, all that running around in caves in Part 1, none of that really matters.
Right.
But I don't think that's how you experience it when you watch it for the first time, and the stuff between David Warner and Patrick Stewart is so amazing.
Right.
Part 2. And I'm sure you guys know this story, but it's a tale of 2 actors with quite similar backgrounds because of circumstance, approaching those scenes in very different ways. Patrick Stewart thought it was really important that he do as much research as possible, met with Amnesty International, talked to people who'd survived torture, had a very detailed understanding of what that might mean. And I think he is phenomenally good. I think it's an incredible technical challenge to play those scenes, but I think he's also really accurately charting Picard's emotional journey. But of course, David Warner was a last-minute replacement for another actor.
Oh, yeah, I guess I don't really know the background of that. Who was the other actor?
I guess I don't. Been revealed, but I
don't think they've ever said who it was.
He had a couple of days' notice, and that meant he couldn't learn any of the dialogue. So David Warner is giving that performance like an actor on Saturday Night Live, reading his lines off cue cards.
I had no idea.
A moment of absolute genius.
If I knew that, it would be like I have the official companion guide on my shelf, but I haven't cracked that open in a long time or noticed it. So that is you have stumped me. You have humbled me. So I'm impressed by that. So thank you for that. That was a piece of information that I didn't have. I did definitely know about Patrick Stewart and his exhaustive research, but yeah, the part of him being the only other big swap out I've ever heard was in the episode The Most Toys in season 3. Actress Sal Rubiniak ended up taking over for another actor who had committed suicide over a weekend, and he had to jump in. But no, I didn't know that about Warner. We
don't say committed suicide. It's not a crime,
right? Oh, very good. I believe that the term is really it's unalive is actually the term that I've been hearing to describe it. But
poor old David Rappaport, and you can see some clips of his performance on the Blu-ray.
Oh wow!
But yes, so he'd actually got as far as shooting some of his scenes, which was not the case here.
Yeah,
because Patrick Stewart and David Warner had worked together at the Royal Shakespeare Company, so I think it was probably Patrick Stewart's idea to get David Warner in. And obviously, we can see him in a couple of Star Trek films as well. So he's another fondly remembered member of the Star Trek family.
Unbelievable talent, my goodness. Peter.
I mean, I don't know if there's much more I can say.
Exactly correct.
It's been said.
Right.
But I am one of those ones that tends to be a little bit softer on Jellicoe.
I agree.
In part because I have military in my family.
Yes, exactly. Your twin brother is a captain in the Army.
Major.
Oh, that's right. He got a promotion. Well, congratulations, Major Stein.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, Jellicoe is a character that I also love to be irritated by, because whenever he shows up, he just does something like, oh, jeez. So when he showed up on Prodigy, you're like,
he's a buzzkill.
Oh, no.
He is Captain Buzzkill, later Admiral.
He also plays a senator whose name is escaping me in Stargate, and he's a complete butt in that as well. So he's really, really good at playing those kinds of characters. Mm-hmm. And so it's a joy to see him play that character. It's not like a person you love to hate, because it's not quite hate, but it's in that same ballpark.
Is also, of course, one of the bad guys in RoboCop.
Yes, he's the main guy. Dick from OCP.
Yes, it's such an interesting difference in physical performance. When he plays Jellicoe, he has this kind of permanent stoop. He's
you're right.
Over, running around, but as Dick Cox in RoboCop, he's ramrod straight.
Right.
So these are very specific choices that he's making as an actor, and it really works in both cases.
It's very interesting to see.
He is 100% someone I had to look up to see if he was still alive before he was in Prodigy, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure Rodney Cox is dead. Nope, still alive, working. He made, just a legendary actor. He was the police captain in the Beverly Hills Cop movies, again, referencing back to the 80s. And I think he had a turn in Dexter, which is a show that my wife loves, where he was a serial killer, because that was what that show was all about. He was a serial killer who hunted other serial killers, and Rodney Cox was one of them. So was Denise Crosby in one of the episodes. So there's a lot of Star Trek ties back to that show. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know what else I can really say. And again, this is another episode that Peter and I will touch again after we finish the entirety of all of the series. We're going to go back and tackle a lot of the two-parters. So there'll be more to be said at that time. And I'm sure a couple of years from now, we'll have different thoughts about it. But yeah, it's without a doubt an achievement of the series. And I think Tommy really put it right. We were sputtering on fumes, and then somebody rammed some diesel fuel into this bad boy, into a car that can't take diesel fuel, and it just absolutely blew everybody away. Probably a bad analogy to say that it blew everybody away, but yes. I think you get where I'm coming from. But well, cool. All right, let's move on. We got a couple of kind of questionable episodes to go, but I always try to find a little bit of good in everything. But Peter, number 12 is you.
Number 12, Ship in a Bottle, directed by Alexander Singer, written by Renee Echeverria, aired January 25th of 93. Barclay, in his infinite wisdom, accidentally awakens Professor Moriarty on the holodeck, who uses the powers at his disposal to, once again, coerce the crew into finding a way to allow him to leave the holodeck. Guest star Daniel Davis as the man, the myth, the legend, Professor Moriarty.
Yes, indeed. This is, before I toss it to you, Tom, a side note, the first episode of TNG to air after DS9 dropped on January 20. So this was just the next week. So so we were still, and it was only 2 episodes before Worf gets rid of his famous Donna Reed hairdo and gets the big ponytail. We're right at the end of it. We're so close. So Tom, please.
So in many ways, this couldn't be more different than the 2-parter which was finished, which is all about action, adventure, and people's lives being at stake, and huge political upheavals. This is people talking in rooms, and a little bit like the earlier episode we talked about quality of life. It's asking questions about artificial intelligence and so on, but this just works so much better. One of the things about season 6, again, it's looking back at these earlier episodes and asking, are there loose ends that need to be tied off? Are there things that we can have another go at? This is a bit of a reprise of Elementary Dear Data, but I think it's so much better. It's nice to see Barclay again, and even if this is just people talking in rooms for the most part, I think that the puzzle box nature of the episode is the thing that for me elevates it. So in its own way, I think I might be alone on this podcast. We'll see. In its own way, I think this is just as good as Chain of Command, and I love the fact that the series can do 2 such different, equally successful episodes, not quite back to back because they had a month off, but consecutively.
Most def, Peter.
I haven't heard it described as being on par with Chain of Command, but I kind of like that, where it's good in its own right in a different way. This is one of my favorite episodes. Not gonna lie, I really like Daniel Davis as Moriarty. This was my first introduction to the Moriarty character, even in like the Holmesian universe. So whenever I read or anything,
isn't Sherlock Holmes from Star Trek? Yeah, exactly.
No, but whenever I read about Professor Moriarty in an actual Conan Doyle story, I'm trying to reconcile this particular version of the character.
It's just Daniel Davis. That's the face.
So it's just so hilariously, you can imagine when I'm watching things like Sherlock or whatever, and there's someone else playing Moriarty, and then just imagine like I'm superimposing Daniel Davis over that because that's
exactly
just in my brain.
It's a photocopied piece of paper with the eyes poked out like Deadpool.
But this is a really fun episode where it's, like you said, it's one of the ones where they actually go back and they bring something from an earlier season that doesn't actually get done all that often until we get to like Lower Decks, which likes to
it's all
dredge things out from the past. It's not just a grab; it's a dredge. And so, but like the way that they reintroduced Moriarty's character was really fascinating. Where like he experienced the passage of time. This isn't just like immediately from where we left him. There is a feeling of like I've been left abandoned to cyber hell, and it's just a very interesting look at that. Like, we didn't intend to cause harm, we didn't intend for you to experience that, but that's where we are. And so now you have that that bitterness and things that's playing into this character that we didn't see previously. So there's like a development from Elementary Dear Data into Ship in a Bottle. So it is the same character, but it's not the same motivations, not the same like everything else going on around him. And he's got a love interest, which came out of kind of nowhere. But so that's an interesting twist. But But the puzzle box where you're trying to figure out what's going on,
where they are,
why the transporters aren't working. I mean, in my brain, when they first pulled out the pattern enhancers, anyway, it's like we're beaming stuff off the holodeck. That's not going to help. What are you doing?
Yeah, right. Beaming it off to where? Another holodeck. Ooh, look what we got done. Yeah. Ooh, I mean, would have worked a lot differently in Voyager because they got to the point where they had holo emitters everywhere, and it was even before the Doctor had his mobile emitter. They still we put him down here, or you couldn't figure out what was real. They had a whole episode of that like that at the beginning of season 2 of Voyager, where he was experiencing this existential, am I man, am I machine kind of deal. So, but anyway, I remember this being very, very enjoyable for that moment. Love seeing Barclay, though. That's a character we get back in Voyager, and obviously we got a 2 seconds of him in First Contact, and we still get a great episode with him at the end of the series with the Genesis with him turning into Spider-Man. But yeah, this was the last that we see of Professor Moriarty until we found out that his program ends up at the Daystrom Institute, which we see in Picard, which is pretty great.
That was such a weird moment.
There's a lot of weird moments in that series in general, but we will get back to that again at another time. So, all right. Well, I will wrap this up with episode 13 of the season, which is Aquiel. Cliff Bowl handling the directing. Story by Jerry Taylor, R.I.P. We recently lost her. We talked about that in our last episode. Brand Braga and Ron Moore. So you've got the strongest of the talent writing this episode that I don't personally feel like really delivers, but we'll talk about that in a minute. From February of 93, Geordi falls for an alien Starfleet officer who is suspected of murder. Guest star is Renee Jones as Aquiel Unari. Renee Jones was pretty prevalent in the soap opera world. She was on one of the big soaps for decades. She still could be, for all I know. So, Tom, where does this episode land for you?
So when I was doing my Trek a Day project, watching an episode of Star Trek every single day in order to go from Kirk to Archer in 2 years, I kept people up to date by putting little 1 or 2 sentence reviews on Twitter every day. And my Twitter review of this episode was, "It's the dog." That saved you 45 minutes, hasn't it?
Nailed it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
This one's a bit thin, isn't it? So we got Geordi falling in love because this is the story we tell with this character.
Exactly.
We've got that old Star Trek cliche of the away team beams down to a research station / ship drifting in space / remote colony / Federation outpost and finds it deserted or littered with corpses. And a random dog just sort of running around going, maybe I'm the solution to the mystery. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me.
Rough.
It's pretty thin stuff, unfortunately. Yeah. After a really, really strong run. Yeah.
Right.
I think, this is again where the cracks are starting to show.
I find it just so equal, as I said a moment ago, just so equally disappointing that you have Taylor, Braga, and Ron Moore helming this deal, and it just absolutely, oh God, no pun intended, because it's the director. It falls off a cliff. All right. You know what I'm trying to say. It's rough because you're right. It has not only all the cliches of a story of this ilk in any medium, but then Geordi's going to fall for the wrong girl, and then blah blah blah. It's a thin mystery. They're just a batting zero with this one. I hate to say it. I don't know, Peter. You got anything redeeming to say about this episode? Crickets.
not real. I wish I did, because I like everybody involved in it, but I just This is an episode that when I'm watching through, I hit skip. I do not enjoy this episode. It's just so boring.
It's not making anybody's list of best or even really worse, because there's so many more that I'm sure are worse.
Well, the thing about Aquiel is up until it came up on the list here, I completely forgot about it. It's one of those episodes it's not bad enough to remember. Oh yes, I remember. Sub Rosa, because it's just so awful.
I just can't wait till we get to Sub Rosa. We still got some time though.
Oh boy. But we remember the absolute shite episodes.
Yeah, right.
but this is one of those ones that just kind of like sits in that like bottom tier mediocrity of just like it's an episode, I guess.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because of all the really talented people that are in there, and like there's some really like there's some really good attempts at acting in this episode between Jordy and Aquiel.
You're charged with attempted acting.
I didn't find the chemistry terribly convincing.
Yeah, that was a note that I read when I was
part of that was, I think, purposeful because they're trying to do the misdirective, like maybe she's the alien who is killing people, but it didn't work that well.
Right.
I don't think.
There were extensive notes about how unhappy the production team was with the CGI of the dog when it reveals itself at the end and it's this amorphous blob. That they this is a show that films an episode in a week or 10 days, and that's not. And then its post production may take another 3 months or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it is. But it's 26 episodes over a 9-month period, so they just got to keep cranking. They didn't have the CGI that we all love now for a Netflix series that has 10 episodes.
Deep Space Nine was able to do with Odo.
Yeah, exactly. So, because this was at the same time. This was at the same time as that, but to me looked a hell of a lot less convincing. So that was
because this was a one-off. It wasn't a main character, so there was that.
Yeah. So like Tom said, it's the dog. I saved you 45 minutes. Could have been the subhead of this episode. So, all right. Well, that wraps this. It's time to go through and pick a favorite and a least favorite. I feel like we're going to come into a lot of alignment here. But Tom, take it away. Give us a favorite and a least favorite. Meaning you can, of course, lump together a certain two-parter if you so desire. Wink, 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 wink.
When I did the star ratings for the book, I gave both Ship in a Bottle and Chain of Command Part 2 5 stars. I gave Chain of Command Part 1 4.5 stars because as good as it is, like I said, all that running around in caves doesn't really go anywhere.
True.
But a star rating is not a precise instrument, and I think out of those 3 episodes, it's pretty clearly Chain of Command Part 2, which is the absolutely outstanding installment. Everything about it is just so good. Least favorite, I think, equally clearly is Aquiel. Those 2 other kind of slightly stupid ones we started with, they're both fun, they're both entertaining. I both sit and watch them quite happily. A lot of the problems with quality of life are production rather than script or performance. But Aquiel just doesn't really work wherever you look.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a bigger disappointment because, again, I'm in complete agreement with you. I'll lump together, obviously, Chain of Command as the star because it's some of the finest Star Trek that exists. I don't know, Peter, where that landed when we did our bracket, our big bracket challenge in episode 100, but I feel like it was definitely top 10 of all of Star Trek that has ever been produced, which we'll do it again when we hit episode 200 with, we'll pull all those out and we'll plug different episodes in and we'll see what's best. But yeah, there was nothing about Aquiel that worked. And just based on, the talent that was involved in making it, it shows that, you can only have so many fingers in the cracks in the dike of the dam that is the show, finally starting to reach its endpoint. So, Peter.
Aquiel is my least favorite. I'm just going to say that. I don't think anything else needs to be said.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go for my favorite is Ship in a Bottle. As much as I love Chain of Command, there's just something both sinister and whimsical about Ship in a Bottle that I just enjoy. And so that's, and I enjoy bringing back an older character and Barclay being kind of unwittingly thrown into the middle of this long-standing feud between Captain Picard and Moriarty is quite hilarious.
Right. Fair. No, I totally understand. Well, good deal. Well, I have a new segment to wrap up the show. And I told Peter about this, and I'm going to make more of an effort to do this. But I really want to reach out to the folks in our community to give us some feedback about the things that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to try to do a better job to tee it up more than just the morning of. This was a weird week for me. I had a 6-day week because I had school shows. I work in the food service equipment business, so I was just running around crazy. But for the folks who are on our Secret Friends Discord or one of the Facebook pages we have, or certainly at our mailbag, which is at secretfriendsunite@gmail.com, to drop in and let us know what you're thinking about what we talked about. My first, this is really lazy, but the notes that I have are from my wife, April, because she was sitting next to me when I was watching Lower Decks this morning. Of the 2 episodes, she really enjoyed Krog and his inner chill, and then Talin's fandom, which we all enjoyed. She liked the slow montage that opened up Farewell to Farms, which was kind of cool. I agree, had kind of an Old West kind of like a little house on the prairie kind of thing happening to it. And then she liked how the Cloacans have silverware that pre-chews the food for them. She thought that was so pretty funny. I did. And so I agree with that. So thank you, April. April, who records one of our Patreon shows with me, will actually be joining Peter and myself when we do our Lower Decks series wrap up around the first of the year. So you will hear from her yet again. But with that, we have reached the end of our program. Tom, so good to have you back. And look forward to having you back many, many times in the future. Where do people find you out there, and what's going on with Tom?
I'm on Twitter at Tom Salinsky. You can find my blog and other bits and pieces at tomsalinsky.co.uk/blog. Among the things you'll find there are Star Trek Discovering the TV Series, Volume 1, which is out now, Star Trek Discovering the TV Series, Volume 2, which will be out at the beginning of next year. And also, if your taste for science fiction extends to the British and the comedic, Red Dwarf Discovering the TV Series, Volume 1,
get around
which
to
is also
Gotta get around to it. Yeah. Awesome. Very good. And Peter, where do people find you?
You can find me around the interwebs at Petrus Aquinas. I'm not terribly active, but if you ping me, I might say something. You can find me on Discord. You can also find me on ELH's channels, Twitch and YouTube, playing a Cardassian science officer. Ooh. And you can find me behind the scenes at Starship Excelsior.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, I'm always easy to find at the same places. I'm in Threads, and I'm on Instagram as @the-C3, TheCeeThree. Spell that out, but I spend a lot of my time over on Discord. Our Secret Friends Unite Discord is a great place to have fun and friendly conversations about geekdom of all types. And then the United Trekkers of Michigan, which is just a little Trek-based Discord that we run for folks here in Michigan, though you don't have to be Michigan to be a part of it, but we had to call it something. Well, with that, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trekking.
Peace and long life.
Thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.